Let me tell you what NIU is really bad at: naming things. This one here is the new NQiX 500. Sounds more like a Wi-Fi router or an industrial printer, but definitely not like a sleek city scooter. But here's what NIU is genuinely good at: building electric vehicles. And in this video, I'll tell you what the NIU is capable of and whether it managed to impress me in everyday life. Welcome to 1000 PS TV. I've spent the last 2 weeks riding the NIU NQiX 500 around town. It's a stylish urban scooter, which is exactly why I've brought it here to the new pump track in Wiener Neustadt. Anyway, back to the scooter. This is NIU's latest flagship model, the 500 version, and I've had it on the road for 2 weeks now. And let me say straight away, I'm genuinely impressed. It's an electric scooter from NIU that delivers a lot at a very attractive price. So let's start with that. 4,500 euros for a 100 kilometers per hour electric scooter. Just a few years ago, something like that would have cost over 6,000 euros. But technology's become more accessible and affordable, and now we're looking at a scooter like this for 4,500 euros. Let's talk about what a scooter is meant to do. It should make everyday life easier, be practical, and handle whatever I throw at it. And where the NIU really convinced me was in the storage space, which is just massive for an electric model. There's an underseat compartment that fits a full-face helmet. It's well-shaped, neutral, and not an inch is wasted. That's honestly a big deal, because usually the batteries would take up that space. But here they're located under the footboard, 2 of them, each weighing 12.4 kilos. That not only frees up more storage space, but also places the center of gravity nice and low, which helps with the handling. I'll talk more about that in a bit. A minor drawback to this battery layout, though, is that the footboard sits fairly high. I'm 1.75 meters tall, and for me it's still fine, but if you're taller, you'll quickly find your knees hitting the handlebars. Even at full steering lock, it's already tight for me. So if you're taller than I am, definitely go for a test ride and check if you're comfortable maneuvering it around town. Because yes, the footboard is definitely on the high side. Other than that, in terms of practicality, it's a classic scooter. You've got an open storage pocket and a bag hook, perfect for shopping bags. And NIU has done a great job with the design here. Same goes for the build quality. We've got several panels that can be removed and swapped out for customization, like the front fairing or the side panels. Nicely done. What surprised me most is that it all feels solid and properly screwed together. You'd think that with removable panels, things might start to rattle over rough roads. But that's not the case. Or at least not unless you're on seriously bad tarmac or cobblestones. Other than that, the NIU's build quality is genuinely good. I've mentioned the ride a few times already, so let's talk about it. In daily life, I mostly do short trips with a scooter like this, and that's where it really shines. Like I said, build quality is solid, nothing rattles. The suspension isn't premium, but it's a budget scooter and you can't expect too much. Still, it does the job well enough. It's not refined, but it's perfectly functional for what it needs to do. The brakes are decent too, and of course they include regenerative braking. When you brake harder, the hazard lights automatically flash to warn the traffic behind. A nice touch. But the absolute highlight of the ride is the drivetrain, because it's completely silent. Some electric vehicles have that faint hum or whine when taking off. Not this one. It's genuinely silent.
Perfect.
And I really love that, especially when you're riding and another motorcycle is behind you and you can hear its engine blaring. Makes you think, does it really need to be that loud? Silence is just brilliant. The only downside is that cyclists and pedestrians won't hear you coming. So you'll have to make yourself noticed, either with the horn or by calling out loudly. Of course, you can also use the built-in sound effects the NIU offers, more on that in a sec. For example, when switching ride modes, there's a nice little beep. Even the indicators have a pleasant tone. And speaking of modes, there's quite a bit of variety. Starting with wet mode for riding in the rain. Wet mode means super gentle throttle response and a top speed of just over 60 kilometers per hour, great when it's slippery. Then there's the e-safe mode, which I honestly never used. It limits you to 28 kilometers per hour on the speedo, which means you're too slow even in a 30 zone. That mode only really makes sense if you're riding around a campsite or crawling home on your last bit of battery. Other than that, just ignore it. My favorite was the dynamic mode, gives you 68 kilometers per hour top speed and the performance you need to pull away confidently at traffic lights without draining the battery too quickly. Then there's power mode, the sportiest option. You get 100 kilometers per hour top speed and very direct throttle response. You can even press a little button on the handlebar that puts a checkered flag icon on the display. That means full power. You can then accelerate up to 120 kilometers per hour or launch off the line even faster. It's a fun feature to play around with every now and then, but not exactly battery friendly. And finally, you've got a fully customizable ride mode that you can configure using the app. And that brings us to the next big point, the app. Now, with most electric vehicles or motorbikes in general, the companion apps are usually pretty disappointing. Maybe you get a basic navigation system if you're lucky, but with the NIU, I can genuinely say, download the app if you own this scooter. That's how you unlock the full potential of what it can do. It's all done through the NIU app, which connects your phone to the scooter. And hands down, my favorite feature was unlocking the scooter with my phone. Normally, you'd use an NFC card, but with Apple Wallet or Bluetooth via the NIU app, it works seamlessly. The scooter detects your phone, recognizes that the rider is near, and you just hop on and ride. A great little everyday feature. Beyond that, the app also shows your current battery level, range, and even how long charging will take. But the real fun happens in the NIU Link section, where you can choose the sound effects. You can select how your NIU greets you, even upload your own custom sounds. It's a bit of a gimmick, sure, but it gives the scooter real character. You can also set how strong the regenerative braking should be, activate auto hold, which works via the motor rather than the brakes, or turn traction control on or off. So for once, I can say it with confidence, download the NIU app. It's a genuine bonus for this scooter and unlocks everything you'd want it to do. Now, of course, when it comes to electric vehicles, the big question is always, how far can I go and how long does it take to charge? As mentioned earlier, the batteries are hidden under a panel. You just pop it open and you'll see both battery packs. You can take them out and charge them indoors if you like. Each one weighs 12.4 kilograms, so that's your call. Alternatively, there's a charging socket under the seat. NIU claims a range of 80 to 90 kilometers, and from my test, I'd say that's accurate. On open roads with full power mode, I did burn through it quickly, dropping to around 60 kilometers. But just cruising through the city, I genuinely reached the 90 kilometers. Of course, it depends on things like outside temperature, your weight, riding style, it all plays a role. But I'd say 70 to 90 kilometers is realistic. And charging time, NIU says 6 hours for both batteries. With the fast charger, it's quicker. I tried it with a normal household socket and it took 3.5 hours to go from 33% to 100%. You can also use the app to set a charging limit like the classic 20 to 80% range, which is better for battery health. So yes, in terms of range and charging time, it's absolutely fine for daily use. You can plug it in while you're at work or overnight and it's ready to go. If you need to, you can just take the batteries inside. So range and charging, no problem at all. And it didn't stress me out during my 2 weeks of use. That whole how far can I go anxiety you sometimes get with EVs, not an issue here. Let's wrap it up. The NIU has been my daily ride for the past 2 weeks, and honestly, it's made everyday life easier and more fun. Whether it's greeting me with a quirky sound or just being dead simple to use, it works. NIU already has a lot of experience with electric scooters, and this is their current flagship. Looking at their past models, I'd say it's earned that title. This is the best scooter I've ever ridden from NIU. The app features are brilliant, the operation is seamless, just hop on, fold up the stand, and go. The drivetrain is silent and refined with loads of tuning options. It's cheap to run. The suspension and brakes are fine for city use. That's all it really needs to be. And the price, again, 4,500 euros. That's what really impressed me. Of course, I'd love to hear what you think. What's your opinion on NIU's electric scooters? Maybe you've already got one at home. And what do you think of the new NQiX? Still a dreadful name, but a fantastic scooter. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Cheers and take care.